Coming to watch Dr. Smith's video today, we encourage you to hit the subscribe button and the alert button. That way you can get notifications when he uploads a new video. Thank you for coming today.
So we hope you take the time to hear and think about, and if you have a book, read in the book about the concept and the topics that we talk about. They have a lasting effect. The intent is not necessarily to treat pain, but to make permanent, long-term correction with your whole family and your friends.
Thank you. Make sure you subscribe and hit the alert button. Have a good day.
Have a good day. So today our discussion is on a couple words. I hope when you leave today you have a totally different concept of these two words. One is the word adjustment. Most of you had chiropractic care and you went to the chiropractor to get adjusted. Today I want to expand that concept in your mind to include many other areas of your life. The other word is subluxation. The word subluxation is a word that's used a lot by chiropractors. Let me explain the concept behind the word subluxation. Sub means less than, under, below, not quite. Luxation means way out of whack, not in harmony with reality, not where it should be. The body is always trying to seek homeostasis. Homeostasis is a word that describes the body trying to get back to where it belongs. So subluxation means something's out of alignment, enough that it malfunctions significantly, either too much or too little. So underneath the concept of subluxation, I would like to have you do ABC or 1, 2, 3. We're going to talk about different types of subluxations that exist holistically. Now, when I say holistically, that means not just in the spine, not just chiropractic. People are subluxated chemically. It can be, think of the triangle on page 27. You see the holistic triangle. You can be subluxated at the top part of the triangle spiritually. You can be spiritually out of whack. The mind, mental thinking can be way off, or your brain can have an injury and not work right. You can be subluxated emotionally, which means you've had your emotions bent out of shape. So you have incorrect perception of emotions, of the way you feel or the way other people feel. So subluxations can occur in all three corners of the triangle. When you have any kind of a subluxation, the answer is the same. You want some kind of an adjustment to be made. Now, I want to pause there and you talk about the word compensation. Your body, is, by divine design, is created such that it will always compensate the best it can with the energy that it has available. Now back to what we're talking about, the colon. If your body has low energy, it can't compensate as well as if you have high energy. So high energy is always better than low energy. And the body will always do the best it can. However, Compensation is designed again by divinity to help you survive. In order to be healthy, you have to make adjustments. You have to change things. If we're in church, I'd say repent. We have to stop doing certain things and start doing other things. Continually to prove to our body and to the universe that we indeed made an adjustment, and we intend to maintain that adjustment, to maintain homeostasis, back where things belong, both structurally, and emotionally, mentally, and chemically.
I want you to focus, I mean, I don't know which one you're going to focus on, but like, and maybe I'm wrong, but for me, I feel like I get the adjustment physically, that, you know, we know all the little exercises and we just got to do them, put them into action. And even chemically, sometimes that's harder because we like our treats.
And we live in the world.
Yep. But to me, the hardest one is your mental, emotional, and spiritual, in my opinion, because I feel like that the brain just automatically goes so much, or is in survival mode, or is compensating, that it kind of bypasses, I don't know. I guess that's where I feel like the adjustment is the hardest, because you either you go, and my mind just has to like keep up. And so then if it's negative, or if I beat myself up, or I get overwhelmed with the world and what's going on around me, or that's where I feel like the adjustment is tough to stop. And you want to say, oh, you're trying to change your thoughts. Well, that's not that easy. You know, like you can't just.
It's not a simple thing.
Yeah. And so sometimes I think that that's hard because the brain never stops, I guess. Well,
Thank goodness.
yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate your comment. And what is something that came to my mind when you were talking? You said, you're a problem. You're a problem.
I got lots of problems. I get that.
But when I assess a person, in my mind, I like to say, okay, which corner of the triangle has the most problems? Is it the top, mental, emotional, spiritual? Is it chemical? Is it structure? Where is it? Where are the big holes in the bucket? And we try to fix the big holes first. Okay, always. Now, in your case, with what you just said to me, a concept that I would have would be to make a mental adjustment. And the human being is we're the only creature on earth that have the brain power to choose. We have the free agency. We can choose what we think about. We have the power and the ability to change stations. So if a bad thought or something comes into your mind, you select the channel, just like you do in your car. You have multiple buttons you can push to get a different channel. And you like one channel, your husband maybe likes another. When you get in, it's on his, you push yours, you go back to yours. So you, in your own life, you pick, this goes to all of you, you pick some song, scripture, saying, something that has a few words that when the demand is there, you can change stations with the conscious mind, because I told you before, the conscious mind is like a ping pong ball. It can only focus on one thing at a time. The subconscious picks it all up, but the conscious mind can only listen to one station, and you can choose that station. So, with what you just said to me, there would be a great realization that of the whole triangle, that's the area that you want the most help with. And the truth is, you can do more for you than anybody else if you follow simple steps and have the determination and self-control to switch channels and not worry, not think, not go in loops, but go to that thought and stay on it.
A good friend of mine many years ago, I was telling her one of my children was being out late at night and not coming home on curfew and everything, and I said, I just worry so much. And she said, I choose not to worry. And I thought, you can choose that? It never occurred to me that you can choose that. And she's been an example to me of that her whole life.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that.
Tony Robbins used to say it was a change of state, that if you have maybe make up a trigger, something you say, something you do, if you clap your hands, if you say something to yourself, where you can change your state. And if you're in an emotional state of, say, depression or sadness or worry, then you can say, okay, I recognize that, and then do this little trigger that you've made up your mind to do to change your state, which changes your mind or whatever you're doing, it changes it so that you can get out of it. So that little thing helps.
That's great. I think that's totally correct. Now keep in mind, thoughts create emotion. If you have feelings that are not the ones you want, you can change the feelings by changing the thoughts immediately. Now, the more you do it, the better you get in practice of doing that, the easier it becomes to go there. Okay, so let's go back. Yes.
Can I just say some about that? So the mind is hard to change because you get neural pathways created that just go there, right?
Mine are in cement.
So they just are like ruts that are hard to get out of. Yeah. What she said is true. Like if you just change your body position, hold your breath, some physical change helps break that, and then you think of a song or a scripture or a quote or something that can help change that. There's a woman called, I think her name is Caroline Leaf. She has a book called Cleaning Up Your Mental Mess, and she talks about how to help you change what your brain is doing, because our brains are plastic. We can mold them again to something else. And so when our brains can go in a certain direction, we can train them that way. No matter how old we are, then it makes other things easier. So the mental part is hard, but
Well, it's a conscious choice.
little steps make a big difference.
Yeah, and thank you for
It
saying
doesn't
that.
work that way.
The brain has the ability to get out of the rut. It's called plastic deformation. The brain can make new pathways. I'll get back to the word subluxation. I told you we're going to talk about subluxation in 3 different types. One is called segmental. So in the spine, it means 2 vertebrae are out of proper relationship. Something's misaligned. They go forward or back or right or left, or they turn in some way. So if we have a misalignment, that creates a malfunction. And when you have, can you see the slide? When you have a malfunction, if this is normal, we can have the nerve malfunction by pinching, by twisting, by stretching, 3 things. And when we alter a nerve condition, we alter the function of the end organ or system or muscle. We can alter it so it goes too much. Some people have problems with their bladder control because they have too much irritation down in that area. When the bladder gets slightly enlarged, it's too sensitive, so they have to pee often. They can't control it. Sometimes it goes the other way. It slows it down. So you may have constipation, you may have kidney or liver or lung malfunction. Subluxation always monitors function of the end tissue. Could be the brain, could be the blood flow to the liver, could be the blood flow to the kidney. But subluxations always create that change. That's local, segmental. Now the second type of subluxation is what I call regional. Regional means that in the spine it would be one area, like the neck, or like the low back. You play with your phone or your computer too much, you have your whole head forward, you change the whole alignment of the neck. Now you have a regional subluxation. Now, how do we get a regional subluxation chemically? It could be that we eat snacks all the time. We graze. That's a regional subluxation. Suppose we skip breakfast every day. That's a segmental subluxation in chemistry. Suppose you're constipated all the time. That becomes more of the third type, global. Global is when the whole thing is messed up. And a global subluxation in the spine is where the curves are all too straight, or the body leans to one side beyond tissue capacity. That's a global subluxation. Now, what about spiritually? Can you have a segmental spiritual subluxation? Yes. What would that include? It can include a single sin, either omission or commission. You can have a regional subluxation spiritually. Like, well, I know I should pray, but I don't pray all the time. That's a regional spiritual subluxation. What about emotional regional subluxation? Maybe you have a bad attitude. You don't like it when people do certain things, and anytime anybody does that thing, you don't like it. That's a kind of a regional subluxation. Now, how do you fix that? You make a conscious adjustment. That's an inner active decision to do things different. I've mentioned before, my dad used to have a pair of yellow glasses, and sometimes he would put them on, he put the yellow glasses on. He looked really goofy, but he said, the whole world looks better when he put this on. Things are brighter. So, the two words I want you to think about more often are subluxation, and maybe ask yourself the question, am I subluxated? Am I not in line with the way it should be in what I'm doing? If I'm out of alignment and I need an adjustment, can I do it? How do I do it? You're all entitled to inspiration. You all have the ability to talk about it and think about it and make changes. That's how you make an adjustment. Now again, people go to seminars or church and they get a uplift, they make decisions to do things different, and then they go off and forget about it. A couple of days later, they're back in the same rut. They're back in the same habit. So again, from a medical standpoint, we like to use the words activities of daily living. I recommend to you that you spend a little bit of time with a pencil and a paper and thinking with your brain and your heart together, and determine when and what you're going to do, the things that are important for you to regain an equilateral triangle. So the one area of the triangle is not skewed and deficient, or another area is way too great. Like some people, they go to the gym a lot. They spend a lot of time working out at the gym and very little time with the mind. So that they don't have a healthy body. It may look good, but it's not symmetrical. Old people who are healthy have symmetrical lifestyles.
It's easy to look at repetitive microtherapy in the other corners, but not so much in the emotional mental because it's not as obvious. But I would think you'd have to do the same kind of thing in that top part of the triangle, whatever that is for you.
Now, was that a statement or a question?
I guess that's what it's a statement with a question mark at the end of it. That's what I'm thinking, that you need to be able to do that also on that top part of the triangle.
Oh yes, for sure. And if that's one of the main conditions, I recommend you apply the principle in the book called the windshield wiper principle. That at the end of every day, you try to become neutral. Somebody in class this week said, the answer is love. If you have pure love, then that kind of cleans the windshield. So you forgive all the things that you did, the things that other people did or didn't do. We live in a world where we have great expectations. Many times the great expectations are not in harmony with reality. We talked this week about a lot of young people right now are being deceived into thinking that the government's going to take care of them. Well, I think they're right, but I think the government's going to take care of them in a different way than they think the government's going to take care of them. So it's false thinking. It needs to be adjusted some to be more and more self-responsible. A lot of people who have depression mentally, they have it because they have wrong patterns mentally. They're stuck on things that are incorrect, so they have to make an adjustment. So again, assess where, and that's the question, how and where am I subluxated in my life? Which part of the triangle? How can I adjust it to make it more conducive with the way I want it to be, the way it should be? Any comments? Okay, so this is a test. Kind of a review. We'll talk about more. So the top part there explains what a subluxation is. We talked about that. It changes both quality and quantity of function. Too much or too little. Either one is not good. Now, number one, sub means less than, luxation means not aligned with harmony. That's a true statement. Two, lack of knowledge, lack of faith, lack of belief, or lack of action is a form of subluxation, even if it's unintentional. That's a true statement. Now, 3, a mechanical or structural subluxation in the body reduces normal motion as well as normal neurological and vascular flow. That's true. 4, having mental, emotional, or spiritual subluxation lowers recovery potential. That's true. I would like to comment on that briefly. If you have a lack of faith, any lack of faith in the body's ability to heal, in my opinion, that's a subluxation. All power comes from God. All power comes from above down. And the health field is called universal intelligence. The church will call it God. Comes from above down. In our body, we get our little portion of universal intelligence. That's called our innate intelligence. All life forms have in them innate intelligence. Trees, bugs, birds, fish, everything has the power within it to do what it was designed to do. That's a gift to it from God. When you don't believe in that power, or you don't use it, that's a subluxation. You lower the recovery potential significantly. Now, people get lied to a lot by doctors. They're told, "Oh, you've got this problem. It's only going to get worse." Well, it only gets worse if you keep doing what you've been doing. It will get, like they say in the South, more better if you make an adjustment and do things different, do things better. Then it will automatically improve, and the adaptation will be toward a better body, more health, more function, more capacity. Number 5, poorly fitting shoes may cause cervical or cranial subluxations. True, but walking properly in proper fitting shoes is an active method for reducing or correcting both fresh and chronic subluxations. True. Now, I said that for you women especially. Go buy more shoes. Doctor said, go buy more shoes.
The right shoe,
Not the left,
not the ones with heels there.
Yeah,
just the right fit.
Not those 3-inch high heels.
yeah.
5 inch.
The therapeutic shoes. Now, in class this week, we've talked about, got people's opinions of what shoes they use, they wear, they have, they really like. They seem to have a positive effect on posture. Any comments from you? They have a brand that you like that are really good for your posture.
I like Skechers.
You like Skechers, okay? Why?
Well, they fit my feet and I don't, at the end of the day, I don't really have a tired spot or.
They give, so you like the cushion, and they're probably wide enough to give your foot a chance to be normal size. Anybody?
I go barefoot every time but I don't think that's really good for you. At least I've been told it's.
Do you have
I
a
don't.
shoe that you would recommend?
I have a couple shoes. I went to like the Teton running place and a one in Boise to get my feet fitted.
Yeah.
So I have a shoe that I exercise in, but they're not cute. And so I do
They're
like,
not cute.
so when I exercise, I wear the not cute, but the rest of the time I actually like Nike or Under Armour.
You like cute shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm not opposed to cute shoes if you're going to sit around and look pretty, but if you're going to walk around, get the not cute shoes.
I got both.
SAS is a good brand. Birkenstock is a good brand.
Oh, I got some of those. Summer's coming.
Clark's is a good brand. There are others. but those get good reports
Working
and can change your posture. That's the thing. You want to walk around and see how you stand. And you've been taught here how to walk correctly. You want to walk tall, move your shoulders, have your feet in proper alignment. So again, a good pair of shoes can be repetitive microtherapy every time you wear them. Number 7.
About 6.
Number 6. Subluxations are able to cause slow breakdown of tissue function, leading to an early death. I would change the word always from are able. Always cause slow breakdown. A subluxation in your body, whether it be mental, emotional, spiritual, chemical. We haven't talked much about chemical, but let's talk about that for a minute. What chemical is what you put in the body, or on or in the body. Another part of chemical is how it's used in the body. If your gut is not breaking the food down properly because you put too much in or the wrong combination, you have a subluxation chemically. Yeah, it could be segmental, it could be one thing, or it could be a combination. And the third part is what comes out of the body. And that's again a multi-component. It involves your lungs. Are your lungs moving properly? If your chest is not expanding properly, then you're not able to eliminate poisons adequately, and you overload the kidneys. A good home test is to measure your chest. Blow out. Have somebody do it for you. Blow out. Inhale as much as you can get. Then do it again. Do it 2 or 3 times. You should be able to get more than 2 inches. Between 2 and 3 inches. 2.5 is normal, but somewhere in that range. The difference between in and out. Now, we just had COVID, and the biggest problem area at the beginning usually was lungs. I believe that the lung problem become the dominant problem because most people have compromise in the chest capacity from disuse, from torque, from bad posture. Now that COVID is over, we have a lot of delayed effects. Now it's the brain. There's a lot of problems with the brain.
Well, and a lot with energy. I mean, what I've heard people, their lingering effects have been they're like exhausted and have no energy, right?
Yes, and why is that?
I don't know. Tell me.
Well, COVID made the holes that were present bigger.
So
Bigger.
what would you do to, like, you'd probably start with sleep as far as what? To start filling those holes of exhaustion? Because, I mean, that's where you gotta start, because that's kind of a pretty big deal to start functioning.
My answer to your question is, where do you start? You look at the triangle and you go bing, 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 bing. You go around the triangle and ask the question, where do I have current subluxations? What am I doing now that's not as good as it could be? What can I adjust? Sleep is a good place to start. So is mental belief. Because a lot of people who got COVID got it because they feared it. They feared and they got it. You get what you think about. That's why I've told you over and over. Don't think about diagnosis. Think about recovery. a lot of people tell me they have trouble with, I've been tempted, I feel like the adversary is adversary is against us all. Don't think about that. Keep your mind focused on the light, the truth, and stay focused on health and recovery. That's where you start. You start by going around. Don't get stuck in one corner and try to fix it with sleep. Don't try to fix it with nutrition. I have a fellow come to see me who, this sounds crazy, when I first started it, they sent a stool specimen to a doctor in Boise. The doctor in Boise sent back 5 or 6 pages of diet and supplements. He's trying to fix the whole body with chemistry. And the person who has the problem is a major structural problem, major pressure on the brain and spinal cord. It will never be healthy regardless of what they feed him. It has to get the posture up, right, and back, and motion. Now, I want to comment on 3 things based on what I just said. To be healthy, we have to have motion. And our direction of motion should be focused on toward recovery. Number 2, we need the best we can, balance. That applies to structure, chemistry, mental, emotional, spiritual. You can get out of balance in any of those, even spiritual. I know people who have overdone it spiritually. They get burned out. When they get burned out, they become non-spiritual. They don't want anything to do with their covenants or their testimony. They go away from it because they had too much. They got too stuck. We need to be moving slowly in the right direction. So motion, balance, and the 3rd is alignment. That applies to all 3 areas of the triangle. Now, number 7, choose. I'm not going to read those all to you, but the correct answer is F, all of the above. Number 8, and true or false, an X-ray is essential to determine a vertebral subluxation complex. False. Now, the truth is, we all get vertebral subluxations in the body every day. Some. But by divine design, the body will repair the majority of them every day. The body fixes itself. Those that it doesn't fix, we want to help with. And we want to help by doing repetitive microtherapy. The therapies that I've taught you to do, including the sacral slide, occipital release, the microcranial, those things on a regular basis. Now, if you don't do them routinely, you may have a subluxation that you get today, and you don't correct it for a week or so. There was a study done on subluxations. It said if you have a subluxation and it's not corrected within a week, it takes a month to correct it. If you had a subluxation for a week, for a month, it takes you several months to correct it. That's why I recommend you do regular, at-home, active self-care. Number 9, making small adjustments frequently does have a cumulative effect on the quality of one's life. Now, cumulative, that means if you do it now and then, you have far less value than if you do it every day. Every day the paw gets bigger. If you don't, you do it, and you don't, it's like an exercise. You make some progress, and you go back. You make some progress, you go back. You make some progress, and that's what the patients did that I met in Logan, Utah, that had been under chiropractic care for a long time. They always felt better, always felt better, always felt better, but never got better because they did not do enough active self-care. They did not eliminate the things that we've talked about today, the small subluxations that existed in their diet, or in their thinking. Number 10, observing patterns in others is a way to positively influence my cognitive function because I can observe what is and is not working. True. And I recommend that you do that. Don't be critical of people, but watch them. My wife has been around for a long enough period of time. She's extremely observant. She listens to what people say. She watches them walk. She watches them sit. She's a very good analyzer, and picking out issues that people could make corrections on if they knew what to do. Number 11. According to Medicare guidelines, there are 6 different types of treatable subluxations. That's true. 12. When is the best time to treat any type of subluxation? When? Hey, today, tonight,
Right.
before you go to bed. Windshield wiper principle. Clear it all off. Go to bed the best you can every night.
Had a good time.
I have a question on the sacral slide.
Yes.
I have a problem on my left side that will not release. It's tight every single time I do it, whether I do it in the morning, afternoon, night, whenever. It's always stronger on my left side. Now, I know I was damaged somewhat, and is that just going to take time to heal? I thought I was healed after 2 years or a year. So, is there something else I can do?
Yeah, that's a perfect question, and thank you for asking. Am I healed after a year? You have what many people have when they're in a car accident. The patient, I read a report to the attorney. The patient has recovered. The patient appears stable in an unstable position. The unstable position then creates the potential for accelerated early breakdown and degeneration. That's the truth. Okay? Now, with you had some major injuries, and some major damage in multiple areas. So what do? When you do the sacral slide, and this applies to all ranges of motion, I've told you before, you go to the edge of pain, or the edge of restriction, to the edge of limitation. You may be able to go further, but it hurts. Stop when the pain is a 4, or when you start to feel you're leaving, restricting, and going to the limit. Stop there. Don't try to force the tissue. Why? The tissue has been damaged. The tissue is bad. We can't train the old dog to do new tricks, but we can train the new tissue. We can train the puppies if we're gentle and patient. So gradually, over time, you're about 65. So when you're 85, 75, that tissue, your leg will be able to go further and further and further. Now, will that ever go 100%? Probably not, because of all the damage you've had. But you don't need an A. You don't need an A. You can live with relatively good health with a B-.
So if I start on my right side, it's my left side that's hung up. My right side does fine, so I go to say here, and then I do to the left, and it hangs up about halfway. So I should start at the left side instead of the right side, so I'll
No,
know where to measure that out.
okay, here's what I recommend. If you have any limitation, let's go back. I said you had to have motion, balance, and alignment. We're talking now about motion. We're talking now about imbalance. We don't have balance. I recommend you match the good side with the bad side.
But if I do the good side first, it will go further than the bad side.
Then start with the bad side.
So start with the bad side,
And then only go
to the limit, or to the tolerance.
do a mirror image of the bad side with the good side.
Even though I could go further with the good side.
Yes, even though you could go further. Why? Because if you go further, you've always, it's like old-time farmers. You have a big horse and a little horse. Well, the big horse will get bigger and stronger, it's doing more. The little horse will do less and less. So we take the big horse and we say, big horse, do less, do less. Try not to make that little horse feel bad. Just back off and just be cool, and be patient, and the little horse will get better and better.
Okay.
So as the little horse gets better, the big horse can do more. Perfect question. Thank you. 13, subluxation always waste, reduce, and interfere with the quality and quantity of available energy. That's true. Okay, so I have one more handout just to give you to take home and read. By the way, my son sent this to me. I thought it was interesting. Would you get that one too?
Yes.
Do any of you have any more comments or questions for today? If not, I would like to have you take a couple of these new next quarter classes. Thank you. Invite your sick friends or send them. And you'll notice that next quarter, Deborah's going to do a couple of classes.
Yeah.